Boston's bats stayed red-hot as the Red Sox rode a wild comeback win to an 11-game winning streak, while the Athletics put on an absolute clinic in a 15-1 blowout. Just two of the storylines from a jam-packed day around the majors. The day began a split doubleheader in Cleveland, and the Pirates took the opener in dominant fashion, cruising to a 7-1 win over the Guardians. Pittsburgh's offense got loud early with three different players going deep. Jacob Gonzalez, Esrelin Valdez, and Nick Gonzalez each launched solo home runs to power the attack. On the mound, Jared Jones was outstanding, striking out 9 over 5 innings to pick up the win, while Cleveland starter Gavin Williams matched him strikeout for strikeout with 11 Ks across 6 innings in a losing effort. A phenomenal individual performance wasted in the defeat. Rhys Hoskins provided Cleveland's lone highlight with a stolen base, but the Guardians' bats simply couldn't keep pace with Pittsburgh's power surge. The loss dropped Cleveland into an immediate rematch just hours later, while the Pirates' offensive explosion set the tone for a big day at the plate in their favor. With Jones dealing and 3 homers backing him up, this one was over early, giving the Pirates a commanding edge heading into Game 2 of the Twin Bill later that evening. Cleveland bounced right back in the nightcap of their doubleheader with the Pirates, salvaging a split with a 5-3 win despite a lengthy 1:15 rain delay. Travis Bazzana provided the power with a solo home run, while Stephen Kwan turned in the game's best individual line, going 3 for 4 at the plate. The Guardians ran wild on the bases too, with Kyle Watson and Chase DeLauder each swiping a bag to spark the offense. Cade Smith was terrific out of the bullpen, striking out 2 over his scoreless inning to secure the win. Brian Reynolds, Esrelin Valdez, and Nick Gonzalez all had hits for Pittsburgh, but it wasn't enough to complete the sweep after their 7-1 win in the opener. After dropping the first game, Cleveland needed a response and got one, with Kwan's hot bat and timely pitching evening the doubleheader split. It was a fitting bounce back for a Guardians club that had been outclassed just hours earlier, closing the book on a long, weather-delayed day of baseball in Cleveland with a much-needed win. The Cubs handled the Twins 6-2 at home, backed by a strong start from Matthew Boyd, who worked 6 innings and allowed just 1 earned run while striking out 4 to earn the win. Nico Hoerner had a huge day at the plate, going a perfect 4 for 4 with an RBI to lead the Chicago offense, while Michael Busch also went deep for the Cubs. Dansby Swanson chipped in a stolen base. Despite Clemens' pop, the Twins couldn't string together enough offense to threaten a comeback, as Boyd and the Cubs' bullpen kept Minnesota's lineup largely in check outside of that one big swing. Chicago's balanced attack, headlined by Hoerner's 4-hit day, was more than enough to secure the series opening win at Wrigley. The Phillies rolled past the Mets 6-1 behind a dominant start from Jesus Luzardo, who struck out 7 over 5 innings while allowing just 1 earned run. Trea Turner was the offensive star, going 3 for 4 with a home run, an RBI, and a stolen base, while Kyle Schwarber also went deep for Philadelphia. Tyrone Taylor provided the lone spark for New York with a solo home run, and A.J. Ewing added a hit and a stolen base, but it wasn't nearly enough to keep pace with Philadelphia's balanced attack. The loss also snapped a positive stretch for the Mets, as catcher Francisco Alvarez saw his 7-game hitting streak come to an end in the defeat. With Turner doing a bit of everything and Luzardo cruising on the mound, the Phillies controlled this one from start to finish, extending their dominance at home and sending the Mets to a lopsided series loss. Toronto and Chicago put on a pure pitchers duel, with the Blue Jays escaping with a 1-0 win. Shane Bieber was brilliant, tossing 6 shutout innings with 6 strikeouts to earn the win, and closer Louis Varland slammed the door with a scoreless save to seal it. Andrés Giménez provided the difference-making base running with a stolen base, part of a Toronto offense that managed to scratch across just enough to support Bieber's gem. Chicago's lineup, led by hits from Munetaka Murakami, Chase Maedroth, Brad Montgomery, and Miguel Vargas, simply couldn't solve the Blue Jays' pitching staff in a tightly contested affair. It was a rough day for Toronto's Nathan Lukes as well, whose 8-game hitting streak was snapped in the low-scoring affair. With neither offense finding much traction, this game came down to which pitching staff blinked first, and on this day, it was Bieber and Varland who came out on top in a taut, well-pitched 1-0 final. The Rockies exploded for a 10-3 win over the Reds, powered by a monster day from T.J. Rumfield, who went 4 for 5 with 4 RBI and a home run. Tomoyuki Sugano picked up the win, battling through 6.1 innings and allowing 3 earned runs while striking out 3. Colorado got extra offense from Jake McCarthy, who added a stolen base to the mix. Cincinnati wasn't without its own highlights, though Jose Trevino put on a show of his own, going 3 for 4 with 2 home runs and 2 RBI, a 2-homer performance that's exactly the kind of streaming caliber fantasy line managers look for even in a loss. Noelvi Marte also stole a base for the Reds. But Rumfield's huge day at the plate and Colorado's balanced lineup, which saw 8 different batters record a hit, proved too much for Cincinnati to overcome. The Rockies pulled away for a comfortable double-digit run margin, capping a big offensive day at Coors Field. The Orioles topped the Astros 4-2 on the road, riding a strong start from Trevor Rogers, who struck out 8 over 6.1 innings. Andrew Kittredge picked up the win with a scoreless inning out of the bullpen, and Cam Sanders closed things out with a save. Pete Alonso chipped in a stolen base for Baltimore, while Leody Taveras, Dylan Beavers, Tyler O'Neill, and Christian Encarnacion Strand all recorded hits to help the Orioles' offense do just enough. Houston got contributions from Isaac Paredes, Jose Altuve, Jeremy Pena, and Yordan Alvarez, but couldn't overcome Rogers' strong start and Baltimore's bullpen. The win was Baltimore's 5th straight, continuing a hot stretch for a club that keeps finding ways to win close games. With Rogers setting the tone early and the bullpen locking things down late, the Orioles left Houston with another notch in their winning streak as series victory over the Astros. The Royals cruised past the Padres 6-1, getting home runs from both Salvador Perez and Lane Thomas to power the offense. Daniel Lynch Roman IV earned the win with 2 scoreless innings of relief. Kansas City got contributions up and down the lineup with Carter Jensen, Isaac Collins, Michael Massey, Vinny Pasquantino, and Jack Caglin all picking up hits. San Diego's only real answer came from Fernando Tatis Jr., who went deep for the Padres' lone run and added a stolen base, but the rest of the lineup, including Freddie Fermin, Ty France, and Jake Cronenworth with hits, couldn't generate enough to keep pace. With Perez and Thomas providing the power and a deep bullpen effort behind Lynch, Kansas City controlled this one throughout, cruising to a comfortable 5-run win over San Diego at Kauffman Stadium. Arizona held off a scrappy St. Louis club 5-3, with Brandon Pfaadt battling through 5.1 innings for the win, allowing 2 earned runs while striking out 3, and closer Paul Sewell locking down the final frame for the save. The Diamondbacks spread the offense around, getting hits from Nolan Arenado, Ryan Walshbit, Kettle Marte, Gabriel Morneau, and James McCann in a balanced night at the plate. Louis didn't go quietly, though Jimmy Crooks provided the Cardinals power with a home run, and Masson Wynn added a stolen base to keep the pressure on. Jordan Walker, Lars Nootbaar, J.J. Weatherholt, and Alec Burleson all chipped in with hits as well, but Arizona's pitching staff did just enough to hold the line down the stretch. With Pfaadt working around traffic and Sewell slamming the door in the 9th, the Diamondbacks secured a hard-fought 2-run win at home, denying the Cardinals any chance at a late-inning comeback. In the day's most dramatic finish, the Red Sox outlasted the Rays 7-6 in a back-and-forth slugfest that extended Boston's winning streak to an incredible 11 straight games. Will Abreu was the offensive engine, blasting 2 home runs, while Jahmai Jones also went deep for Boston in a power-packed win. Tampa Bay refused to go away, getting home runs from Johnny DeLuca and Victor Mesa Jr. and Taylor Walls put on a running clinic with 2 stolen bases, part of a Rays team that also got steals from Chandler Simpson and Cedric Mullins. Boston's Romy Gonzalez chipped in a steal of his own. Ryan Watson worked 2 innings of relief to pick up the win, and Aroldis Chapman slammed the door with a save to preserve the 1-run margin after a game delayed by rain for over an hour. With 4 combined home runs and 5 stolen bases between the 2 clubs, this one had everything, and it was Boston's discipline in the late innings that made the difference, pushing their winning streak to 11 games and firmly establishing them as the hottest team in baseball right now. Texas edged Atlanta 7-6 in a slugfest that saw 4 home runs in total. Mackenzie Gore worked 5.2 innings for the win despite allowing 5 earned runs, striking out 7 along the way, and Jacob Latz closed it out with a 1.1-inning save. Evan Carter and Jock Pederson both went deep for the Rangers, while Michael Harris, Roman II, and Ali White answered with home runs of their own for the Braves. Atlanta got additional hits from Mauricio Dubon, Drake Baldwin, Jim Jarvis, and Austin Riley, while Texas countered with Wyatt Langford, Jake Berger, Josh Young, Ezequiel Duran, and Brandon Nimmo all reaching base safely. Despite the Braves' power and a deep lineup effort, Texas's pitching staff did just enough down the stretch to hang on for the one-run road win, capping an entertaining, high-scoring affair between two teams that traded haymakers all afternoon. Milwaukee outlasted Miami 8-6 in a game that featured plenty of action on the bases and a dominant start from Shane Drohan, who struck out 9 over 6 innings to earn the win. Garrett Mitchell led the offense, going 3 for 5 with 2 RBI, and the Brewers ran wild all game. Jackson Chourio swiped 2 bags himself, a line that jumps off the page for any fantasy manager needing steals, while Joey Ortiz, Christian Yelich, Braden Shoemake, Mitchell, and Luis Lara each added 1. Trevor Megill closed it out with a save. Miami got a home run from Griffin Canine and a stolen base from Otto Lopez, but the loss also snapped Heriberto Hernandez's 9-game hitting streak. Despite the Marlins' power and continued fight, Milwaukee's speed and Drohan's strikeout-heavy start proved to be the difference in a game where the Brewers simply had more ways to beat their opponent. Seattle edged San Francisco 4-3 in a tight, back-and-forth affair at home, with Cole Young providing the decisive power on a solo home run for the Mariners. Osai Furrow worked a scoreless inning of relief to pick up the win and help close out the one-run margin. San Francisco countered with a pair of home runs from Rafael Devers and Willie Adams and got additional hits from Heliot Ramos, Drew Gilbert, Luis Ariz, and Bryce Eldridge as the Giants' lineup did plenty of damage of its own. Dominic Canzone also chipped in a hit for Seattle in a game that saw both offenses trade blows early. In the end, though, it was Seattle's bullpen that made the difference, buckling down late to hold off the talented Giants lineup and preserve the narrow victory at home, closing out an entertaining, power-driven contest between two competitive ball clubs. The Athletics put on an offensive clinic, demolishing the Nationals 15-1 behind 3 home runs and a dominant start from JT Ginn, who struck out 7 over 6.1 scoreless innings to earn the win. Jacob Wilson went deep and finished 3 for 6 with 2 RBI, while Jeff McNeil matched him with a 3 for 5, 2 RBI day of his own. Carlos Cortes and Tyler Soderstrom also homered for Oakland's suddenly potent lineup, which saw contributions from Jonah Heim, Joshua Kuroda-Grauer, and Shea Langeliers as well. Washington managed just a handful of hits from Jorbit Vivas, Dalen Lyle, and Keibert Ruiz and couldn't put together any real offense against Ginn and the Athletics' pitching staff. It was as lopsided as they come, with the Athletics scoring in bunches all afternoon and never letting the Nationals back into it, capping a 14-run blowout that stood as the widest margin of victory anywhere on the day's slate. Tarek Skubal was untouchable, tossing 7 shutout innings with 9 strikeouts to lead the Tigers to a 7-0 win over the Angels, a dominant performance that set the tone from the first pitch. Colt Keith had a huge day at the plate, going a perfect 4 for 4 with 2 RBI, and Spencer Torkelson provided the power with 2 home runs of his own, a 2-homer night that stands out as one of the day's premier fantasy performances. Zach McKinstry, Kevin McGonigal, James Outman, and Dylan Dingler all added hits for Detroit as well. Los Angeles managed just a handful of hits from Jorge Soler, Mike Trout, and others, but could never solve Skubal, who was dominant from start to finish. With Skubal cruising and Torkelson providing the power, the Tigers delivered one of the most complete performances of the day, blanking the Angels in a shutout that combined elite pitching with a potent offensive attack. The Yankees and Dodgers squared off in one of the day's marquee interleague matchups, but no play-by-play or box score data was available for this contest by the time of this recap. The listed final shows a 0-0 score with no attendance figures or game length recorded, suggesting the game's results simply weren't captured in the data available for this report. Without confirmed stats on hits, home runs, or pitching lines from either side, there's nothing further to report here. No invented plays or fabricated numbers, just an acknowledgement that this Yankees-Dodgers clash remains unaccounted for in tonight's numbers. Fans looking for the full rundown of this particular matchup will need to check official box scores directly, as this recap can only speak to the games where complete data was provided. We'll have the real story on this one as soon as accurate numbers come in. The Red Sox are the hottest team in baseball, riding an 11-game winning streak after their wild win over Tampa Bay. Not far behind, both the Pirates and Orioles have won 5 straight of their own, keeping the pressure on in their respective races. On the flip side, Miami's Heriberto Hernandez saw his 9-game hitting streak come to an end in the Marlins' loss to Milwaukee. It was a huge night for power bats on the waiver wire. Cody Clemens, Jose Trevino, Will Abreu, and Spencer Torkelson all left the yard twice, making each of them streaming-worthy ads if they're still available in your league. On the speed side, Tampa Bay's Taylor Walls swiped 2 bags, a nice source of stolen base value for managers' punting power. With 4 multi-homer games in one day, fantasy managers scanning the waiver wire have plenty of hot names to consider heading into the week. That's a wrap on today's action across the league. Hit subscribe so you never miss a recap, and we'll see you back here tomorrow for more MLB highlights.